Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into a really profound structural blueprint of reality itself. We're going to trace an incredible pattern where the absolute smallest biological functions, like think of the double helix of your DNA, actually mirror the exact rise and fall of ancient empires. You see, history isn't just some random series of events, it's a highly precise mathematical circuit.
So, what do your heartbeat and electrical outlet and the collapse of ancient empires have in common? Well, it turns out they're all governed by a single universal wave pattern. You know, most of us just assume history is this straight line, right? Just moving from the past straight into the future. But what if it's actually an oscillation? What if the rise and fall of civilizations is driven by the literal exact same alternating current as the universe itself?
Think about it. All of these systems operate on the exact same push and pull dynamic, an alternating current. I mean, your heart doesn't just squeeze once and stop, it executes a continuous loop of systole and diastole. DNA isn't just a single flat line, it relies on two opposing strands continuously spiraling around each other. Even the electricity powering your room right now relies on a polarity that constantly flips, and today we're going to trace this exact continuous double helix recursion right through human civilization.
To actually map this out on a civilizational scale, we have to look at the 2-3-7 framework. And listen, this isn't just abstract math. It is the universal centrifuge. The 2 represents duality, those paired strands. The 3 represents formation, the looping back and forth test of reality. And the 7 is the final completion and return. 2, 3, 2, 7. It's the mechanism that ensures a system never escapes its boundaries, but also never repeats identically.
Now this is where it gets absolutely fascinating. Look at these two verses from the Quran, 22:33 and 2:17. Together they form the ultimate chromosome equation of history. Chapter 22, verse 33 establishes a specified term, basically a window where respite and benefit exist temporarily inside of sacrifice. Then, chapter 2, verse 179 reveals that life itself actually emerges through extraction, through kisos or balance. Gravity pulls downward, but sacrifice reverses it right back upward. These are literally the two opposing base pairs, completing our civilizational DNA.
And just like a double helix, these two strands are running simultaneously. You've got the Taghut strand, that heavy, gravitational pull of Hawa, or desire, pulling downwards toward the fruit, the stone, the flesh. And on the flip side, you have the Rush strand, the upward momentum of sacrifice that extracts living light right out of that gravity. You simply cannot have this civilizational alternating current without both polarities.
So let's go ahead and map this current onto history. And this is a real game changer. Adam's heaven and Pharaoh's heaven, they aren't separate, disconnected stories. They are opposite phases of the exact same oscillating current, connected by time. Adam begins at the peak positive amplitude, while Pharaoh's trapped, dead kingdom sits way down at the negative trough. So let's trace how this wave flows.
All right, phase 1, Adam's fall, where the current actually begins.
So Adam begins in heaven in this state of high potential equilibrium beside Shaytan, but then the fruit enters the field. This is the first bifurcation executing, Taghut versus Rushd, desire versus restraint. It's gravitational compression entering civilization. Adam falls to earth carrying this compressed intelligence, but here is the crucial part. He instantly repents. As mentioned in chapter 2, verse 37, Allah accepts his repentance. That means the return path is encoded right inside the fall itself. The alternating current begins oscillating right here. One polarity descends through gravity, but the opposite rises up through repentance.
Moving to phase 2. Inverting the destructive flow, which we see clearly in the flip of Musa and Ibrahim.
This verse, 21:69, brilliantly illustrates what we'd call an AC inversion. Think about Ibrahim traversing the fire. By all laws of thermodynamics, it should absolutely destroy him. But instead, the destructive current forcefully flips into a preservation current. Oh fire, be coolness and safety. The kinetic energy is completely inverted. The wave officially flips its polarity from destruction to preservation.
And from here, the topology separates into two dual preservation axes. You have the father-son axis, like Ibrahim and Ismail, preserving the physical lineage and mass through physical sacrifice. Then you have the mother-son axis, like Pharaoh's wife and Musa, carrying the ruh, the spirit, through the protected ground, the womb of knowledge. One carries the body through the knife, the other carries the signal through the womb. Meanwhile, anyone attached to the collapsing civilization gets filtered out as a remainder, exactly like Lut's wife. Through this hidden feminine compression we see in chapter 81, buried truth becomes opened pages. The living wave is rising.
If we follow this timeline, we track the origin back to Adam's heaven, the inversion point with Musa and Ibrahim, and then the civilization climbs all the way to its absolute maximum constructive oscillation, the kingdom of Solomon. But, as we know, every peak carries the hidden discontinuity of its own crash.
Which brings us to phase 3, the crest and the crash. Solomon's kingdom actually reaches the peak by mastering the illusions of reality. Think of Queen Saba mistaking solid glass for liquid water. He maintains balance through ultimate restraint, sacrificing his attachment to his majestic horses, Safinat-Al Jiyad, before the kingdom could harden into a Taghut state. His kingdom is balanced by sacrifice, wisdom through restraint, power through surrender.
But at coordinate 3414, the time reverses the current. Solomon dies standing, propped up by his staff, while the jinn just blindly continue working until a tiny termite eats the wood. It openly reveals that the kingdom had become a hollow shell running on pure momentum. Living intelligence had been removed. And this exposes a fracture that was already present back in heaven, right? Chapter 18, verse 50 shows us Iblis was hidden among the angels. Now, the living intelligence is gone, and only the mechanical form remains.
This literally transforms the kingdom into Pharaoh's heaven. It becomes the buffer earth phase, a civilization running entirely on inertia after the Ruha has been extracted. It traps the zalim and zahel, the ignorant and oppressive, in flesh, gravity, and illusion. Pharaoh's obsession with freezing time turns his empire into the ultimate museum state. Look at chapter 10, verse 92. His preserved corpse becomes the final monument of a dead direct current that's just pretending to be alive.
But here is the beauty of it. The alternating current never stops. While one polarity collapses downward into the fire, another rises upward. Just as Musa traversed Pharaoh's machine from within, Ahmed enters the dead Taghut civilization carrying the Quran. The book becomes the anti-Taghut current inside a dead civilization, rising upward through sacrifice and returning toward the Kitab.
And that leads us into phase 4, the final double bifurcation and the reality of the 237 framework. You see, you are not just standing on one single strand of history, you are navigating the double helix yourself. The Taghut strand is that heavy pull toward gravity, flesh, the stone, the fire. But simultaneously, the rushed strand pulls you upward toward sacrifice, extraction, and the light. These two polarities are running continuously, side by side, through your very own life. So the grand unified pattern is clear. Everything executes this exact mathematical recursion. Adam descended carrying compressed intelligence from a true heaven. Pharaoh rose from the earth trying to manufacture a fake heaven and ended up a preserved corpse. They aren't isolated events, they're the inevitable oscillations of civilization connected by time. And sitting right in the middle of these massive civilizational swings is you. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to realize something. Your own heartbeat is literally the resistor and capacitor in the center of this cosmic circuit. Over 100,000 times a day, your heart is running this exact 237 program, a systole of compression and gravity, followed immediately by a diastole of release and extraction. You are the engine.
So, I'll leave you with this. Think deeply about your daily choices. Are those choices building a hollow Pharaoh's museum, bound for gravity and illusion? Or are you extracting light to return to the ultimate source? The double bifurcation never, ever stops oscillating. The only question is, which strand is your heart pumping today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.